Hey everyone. So you'll notice we're back at camp. That's because there's one thing I want to do before we go to the Landsmeet. So by the way, I went ahead and did a couple of things in the journals to kind of clear it up. In fact, there's actually one I have to go turn in real quick before we actually head there. However, there is one thing we are going to do before we go to the Landsmeet. By the way, Alistair is now locked into my party from this point onwards, because we have to take him to the Landsmeet. We're going to give him Duncan's shield.
This shield, it's Duncan's, isn't it? That's his crest.
I thought maybe you might want it.
Thank you. Truly, I had no idea his shield wasn't with him. This is perfect. I don't know how else to express my gratitude. This means a great deal to me. I can't believe you remembered it at all.
Of course I remembered.
I'll treasure this. Thank you.
So now he equips Duncan's shield, which is a heavy shield silverite with willpower, defense, and stamina regen in combat. And it looks cool. Kind of a cool, unique design with the Grey Warden symbol on it. I really like that shield. And it's not restricted to him, by the way, because we're going to give that back to him. And I think I am going to actually go ahead and put that on myself, because it actually looks like a better shield than what I've got.
Now's better than later.
You'll see he's now locked into the party here. So we're going to take Morgan, of course. And I guess we'll take Zevran.
Yes.
Alright. So I also, cleared out my inventory, went to the player house to stash stuff away and such. So let's now go back to Denerim. I actually went to the Brazilian forest. I actually also encountered some surviving elves who were confronting me. They were like, "How could you betray us?" And I told them, "Hey, Zathrin was the one who betrayed you." And they were like, "What are you talking about?" And I told them that he was the one who started the curse in the first place with his blood. And they were like, "Oh,
The mages...
I see. Well, then I guess it's clear that, yeah.
Magic.
Sorry." And they left. I also checked in on the werewolves, and they were like, "Alright, so we've got survivors here. In a few days, they'll probably be ready to actually join you." So,
Of course.
actually, I don't think we'll need that.
All right, all right.
So, who's ready? So, if I had fought Catherine and won that fight, she would be dead. But I didn't.
Warden, I am not surprised it has come to this. And Alistair, if you were even remotely worthy of being called Marik's son, you would already be in the Landsmeet, now wouldn't you? You have torn Ferelden apart to oppose the very man who ensured you were born into freedom. But do not think you will get past me to desecrate the Landsmeet itself. The nobles of Ferelden will confirm my lord as regent, and we can finally put this to rest once you are gone.
Turn aside, Catherine. Serve your queen and save Marik's throne.
You say that with such righteousness. Loghain used to have that ring in his voice. He has not sounded that way in many months now. It is not so clear an enemy when it is your own people you fight.
His own people were the ones imprisoned and tortured.
You think war is simple, don't you, Warden? You only fight monsters. No one sheds a tear over the death of an ogre. Torture is an ugly business. But sometimes it's the only way to learn what your enemy intends. And it is much harder to tell who the enemy is when all of them look like you.
He sold his own people into slavery.
What was he supposed to do? You and Eamon were harassing him at every side, forcing him to empty the treasury to fight you. He never wanted a civil war. After Kaelin died, everyone was supposed to rally, come together to fight the Darkspawn without crying to Orlais for aid. He never anticipated Merrick's bastard would challenge the throne and force this war.
How can you justify letting Arl Howe torture his subjects?
You think war is simple.
Oh, okay, same thing.
It's much harder to tell who the enemy is when all of them look like you. Kaelin was a fool. He grew up a spoiled child in his ancestors' palace. He never knew what it was to be hunted, to starve. Maybe the Grey Wardens killed him, or maybe my lord let him die of his own foolishness. Either way, it may have saved Ferelden.
So now you admit Logain may have killed him.
Fine, you're right. What would you have me say, Warden? Logain is a great man, but his hatred of Orlais has driven him to madness. He has done terrible things. I know it. But I owe him everything. I cannot betray him. Do not ask me to.
I actually feel for Catherine here, because like she said just there, I owe him everything. I can't betray him. And, I mean, again, remember, Logain, what he did to help free Ferelden from Orlais, it's no wonder he's so beloved as a hero amongst the people of Ferelden. It's absolutely no wonder. Then let me stop him. You know it's the only way.
I never thought duty would taste so bitter. Stop him, Warden. Stop him from betraying everything he once loved. Please, show mercy. Without Logain, there would be no Ferelden to defend.
Don't worry, Catherine. One of the reasons I want to make sure I spared Catherine there was because I'd like to think later on, once my character gains a seat on the throne as the Prince Consort, that he is able to utilize Catherine in a position that would suit her strengths, whether it be as a military leader or, keep her alive to help contribute, rather than kill her off. Because killing her would just be a waste. Catherine is a fantastic warrior, and he would want her to stay alive so he can utilize her. Plus, yeah, let's just say that you guys may have an idea of where I'm going with this and what I intend to do in regards to Logain. And let me reiterate this one more time before we go through with this. I love Alistair, okay? He's my bro. I love the guy. But this is a run where, as I said way earlier on, the outcome for him was not going to be all that great. I don't necessarily like doing this, but it's part of how it would go. Plus, there actually is a reason for it, not just in terms of story, but also in gameplay, that I will explain when the time comes. Okay? So, please don't, oh, you hate Alistair. No, trust me, I love Alistair. Okay, I don't take any glee or pleasure in this, personally. Only an in-character kind of thing. But he doesn't necessarily take pleasure in it either, because he doesn't hate Alistair. But he does see him as a threat because of what he wants. Not Alistair, but what my character wants. He's already set the pieces in place. And Alistair can interfere with that. So, just letting you guys know. Okay? Here we go.
My lords and ladies of the Landsmeet, Tyrn Logain would have us give up our freedoms, our traditions, out of fear. He placed us on this path, yet we should place our destiny in his hands? Must we sacrifice everything good about our nation to save it?
A fine performance, Aemon.
but no one here is taken in by it. You would attempt to put a puppet on the throne, and every soul here knows it. The better question is who will pull the strings. Ah! Here we have the puppeteer. Tell us, Warden, how will the Orlesians take our nation from us? Will they deign to send their troops, or simply issue their commands through this would-be prince? What do they offer you? How much is the price of Ferelden honor now?
You notice how he's talking strictly about Orlais and not the Blight or the Darkspawn? He is right now completely focused on Orlais. That's all he's thinking about right now. The Blight is the threat here, not Orlais.
There are enough refugees in Mybanor now to make that abundantly clear.
The south has fallen, Loghain. Will you let Darkspawn take the whole country for fear of Orlais?
The Blight is indeed real, Wolf. But do we need Grey Wardens to fight it? They claim that they alone can end the Blight, yet they failed spectacularly against the Darkspawn at Ostagar. And they asked to bring with them 4 legions of Chevaliers. And once we open our borders to the Chevaliers, and we really expect them to simply return from whence they came?
I mean, if there's no longer a Thetis because the Blight destroyed everything, it's not gonna matter. You allowed Rendon Howe to imprison and torture innocents.
The Warden speaks truly. My son was taken under cover of night. The things done to him, some of them are beyond any healer's skill.
Howe was responsible for himself. He will answer to the Maker for any wrongs committed in this life, as must we all. But you know that. You were the one who murdered him. Whatever Howe may have done, he should have been brought before the Seneschal. There is no justice in butchering a man in his home.
That's incredibly ironic, considering that that's what he did to my father. Just saying. Is there justice in selling elves to Tevinter?
Selling elves? Explain this, Loghain.
This is war. Did you believe it would be like the old tales? Knights with pennants flying over battlefields where all outcomes are decided simply and with honor. War is cruel. Every soul who fought alongside Marek knows this. And in it, there are no such things as innocence, only the living and the dead, and the degrees of guilt both bear. Sacrifices were made. If they were too great, the Maker will judge me for it. But enough of this. I have a question for you, Warden. What have you done with my daughter?
I protected her from you.
You took my daughter, our queen, by force, killing her guards in the process. What arts have you employed to keep her? Does she even still live?
I believe I can speak for myself. Lords and ladies of Ferelden, hear me. My father is no longer the man you know. This man is not the hero of Riverdane. This man turned his troops aside and refused to protect your king as he fought bravely against the Darkspawn. This man seized Kaelin's throne before his body was cold and locked me away so I could not reveal his treachery. I would have already been killed, if not for this Grey Warden.
The Queen speaks the truth.
So, the Warden's influence has poisoned even your mind, Enora. I wanted to protect you from this.
My lords and ladies! Our land has been threatened before! It's been invaded and lost and won times beyond counting. We Fereldans have proven that we will never truly be conquered so long as we are united. We must not let ourselves be divided now.
Stand with me, and we shall defeat even the Blight itself!
Southreach stands with the Grey Wardens.
The Warden helped me personally in a family matter.
Waking Sea stands with the Grey Warden.
Dragon's Peak supports the Warden!
The Western Hills throw their lot in with the Wardens. Make her help us.
I stand by Loghain. We've no hope of victory otherwise.
I stand with the Warden. The Blight is coming. We need the Grey Wardens.
So a couple of things. One, the guy there who you heard say, "The Warden helped me with a personal matter." That goes back to that Antivan Crow quest line that we did. You remember the one about the son being taken hostage? That comes full circle to this. That is what that was about. That's why we then get his voice of support here in the Landsmeet, because we followed through on that quest line. The one guy who said he supports Loghain, that happens regardless. There's nothing you can do about that. That guy will always support Loghain, no matter what. And then that final guy is basically the revealing the result, whether or not you won the Landsmeet or not. So if he says Warden or Loghain, that tells you the result. Step down gracefully, Loghain.
Traitors! Which of you stood against the Orlesian Emperor when his troops flattened your fields and raped your wives? You fought with us once, Eamon. You cared about this land once, before you got too old and fat and content to even see what you risk. None of you deserve a say in what happens here. None of you have spilled blood for this land the way I have. How dare you judge me?
Call up your men and we'll settle this honorably.
Then, let us end this. I suppose we both knew it would come to this.
When we first met at Ostagar, I would never have thought so, but Ostagar seems like it happened in another lifetime to someone else. A man is made by the quality of his enemies. Marek told me that once. I wonder if it's more a compliment to you or me.
Enough! Let the Landsmeet declare the terms of the duel.
It shall be fought according to tradition. A test of arms, in single combat until one party yields. And we, who are assembled, will abide by the outcome.
Will you face me yourself, or have you a champion?
I will fight you, my Mabari will be my champion. You can actually select that. I don't recall what actually is said. I'm gonna do it for giggles.
Warden, no. I'm afraid we can't leave the fate of all Ferelden up to your dog. Anyone with a leftover ham bone could buy his allegiance. Choose someone else.
Okay. I had to see what they were gonna say. That was really funny. I will fight.
It is you or me the men will follow. So, let us fight for it.
Prepare yourself.
So obviously he can be a pretty tough fight individually.
I'll get on it.
Wonderful! Wonderful! Let's see what you make.
I underestimated you, Warden. I thought you were like Kalen, a child wanting to play at war. I was wrong. There's a strength in you that I have not seen anywhere since Marek died. I yield.
I accept your surrender.
I didn't just hear you say that. You're going to let him live? After everything he's done? Kill him already!
Wait, there is another option. Patean is a warrior and general of renown. Let him be of use. Let him go through the joining.
You want to make him a warden?
There are 3 of us in all of Ferelden, and there are compelling reasons to have as many wardens on hand as possible to deal with the Archdemon.
The joining itself is often fatal, is it not? If he survives, you gain a general. If not, you have your revenge. Doesn't that satisfy you?
Absolutely not! Riordan, this man abandoned our brothers and then blamed us for the deed. He hunted us down like animals. He tortured you! How can we simply forget that?
You know what bothers me here is that Riordan doesn't just say, by the way, a Grey Warden is required to end the Blight because a Grey Warden has to kill the Archdemon, otherwise they just keep on living and the Blight doesn't end. He could just say that and let Alistair know this is why we need as many Wardens as possible. So to try and get Alistair to kind of back down and be like, okay, I see. But he doesn't say that. He doesn't let him know the real reason why. He's still incredibly vague and cryptic about the truth of what's going on here, just like Duncan and other wardens are and were. Riordan has a point. We should put him through the joining.
Joining the Wardens is an honor, not a punishment. Name him a Warden and you cheapen us all. I will not stand next to him as a brother. I won't!
Not all of us have spotless honor, you know.
Some things can't be undone or forgiven. This goes way beyond having spotless honor. We aren't talking about a minor hiccup in his past. I didn't want to be king. I still don't. But if that's what it takes to see Loghain get justice, then I'll do it. I'll take the crown.
Listen to this. Can you see how disastrous a king he'd be? Putting his own selfish desires above the needs of his country? You can't seriously support him.
Don't worry, Honora, I don't. Honora will be queen, and I will rule beside her.
My husband, the king consort, the general of my armies, and the hero who will save Ferelden from this blight.
You're siding with her? How could you do this to me? You, of all people.
I'm trying to do what's best for Ferelden.
What's wrong with you? He's repeatedly tried to kill us both, and you side with him over me?
I mean, he's gonna be my future father-in-law, so I would probably consider it a wedding gift to my fiancé over here. You know? I'm sure she would love nothing more than for me to have her father live before we get married. Just saying, pal. Alistair, don't be hysterical.
I'm not. I'm perfectly lucid. I will not stand beside Loghain, and neither should you. I guess I don't have any choice, do I? I'm leaving.
I'm afraid it's not so simple as that, Alistair.
You already got what you wanted. Your murdering father gets a place amongst the Grey Wardens. What else could you want from me?
Your life, unfortunately. So long as you live, rebellions can be raised in your name. Our land cannot endure another civil war. I must call for your execution.
So here's a choice some of you are probably not going to like me for. But here's one of my reasons for it. If you let him go, you know what his fate is? He ends up a drunk. You can actually find him in the Hanged Man in Dragon Age 2 as a complete drunk. It's horrible. I hate seeing Alistair like that. That's the result of you letting him go here. So that's one reason I don't actually want to let him go. Here's another reason, a gameplay reason. If you have given him a bunch of nice gear, he takes it with him and you can't get it back. The only way you can get the gear he has equipped back is if you let this happen. Plus, it also makes sense. What she said, the idea that rebellions from people who would support him instead of Honora and myself would be raised in his name and more civil war, whereas if Alistair is gone, then that's not really possible at that point, is it? Remember what I said about how my character would perceive him as a threat to him and Honora? Well, this would deal with that. That's why Honora wants it, and that's why my character would actually want it. But he's not going to enjoy it, because you could say, it's about time, screw you. But nah, Honora is right. I'm sorry, Alistair.
Oh, I see. So I'm another sacrifice for Ferelden, am I? What happened to you? Can you hear yourself? I'm going to be thrown on the pyre along with Duncan and all the others, am I? Nothing I did counts for anything?
It does count, but this is for the greater good.
Gosh, what a relief.
Guards, take him away, please. And now, lords and ladies of Ferelden, there is still a blight to defeat, and armies to gather. And I appoint this man to lead us in both. We will not allow this land to be further threatened by the Archdemon. Gather your forces and await the King Consort's command. On the morrow, we shall begin our struggle against the greatest threat Ferelden has ever faced. And we shall triumph over it, for we are Ferelden.
It's funny how she a couple times referred to me there as the King Consort.
Called upon to submit yourself to the Taint for the greater good. From this moment forth, you are a Grey Warden.
I understand.
So it's done. My father lives, and for good or ill, he is now a Grey Warden. Thank you for giving him the opportunity to undergo the ritual. It couldn't have been easy.
He did what he thought was right.
As he always has. I'm simply glad that it didn't result in a sad end for a great man. You kept your end of the deal. I will keep mine. The engagement will be announced at my coronation, provided you are still interested.
Trying to get out of it already?
Not at all. I simply wish to ensure your ambitions haven't changed. Arl Eamon has left for Redcliffe, and tells me that our armies have almost fully gathered there. I will be heading there myself. Bring your companions, and join us at Redcliffe Castle as soon as you are able. You have united Ferelden, Warden. Now we face the Blight.
What was that one I just got? I'm so curious what that was. No. Yeah, you can see there's the achievement for the one time I tried it. Oh. Huh. I can't believe I never got that before. So, there he is. So he just has a regular longsword, his own shield, and his own belt, armor of the Riverdane, which has strength and willpower, and stamina regen in combat. Yep. Now... if you're wondering, well, where's that equipment that Alistair had? How do you get that back if you sentence him to be executed? Well, you go back to where he's supposed to be here. And there it is, in this chest. So now, if you want to keep these, you can be able to take them back, and there you go. So now, if I wanted to, I could actually go ahead and put these on Logain, and I'm also wondering, what is... So let's see, he has that strength. I'm probably going to have to use my skill books to kind of mess with Logain's stats here. He's a champion. I'll go ahead and give him Templar and Berserker. At least he's got those, that's nice. All those warrior stats are off the bat, and the champion stats there too. Give him these, since he is very much a sword and shield guy. Go ahead and do those as well, because why not? And if you're wondering, yeah, there's also a couple of other things I can give him as well. And yes, there are conversations with him, which we will do next time. By the way, now we will be able to actually go ahead and do the DLC I've been putting off for quite some time. Let's give him that. Much better sword. Huh. Okay, I can't give him that because that was restricted just to Alistair, so I'll have to see if I can give him another ring somewhere. Well, that does match the armor he's using. I mean, and the armor he's using is not bad. I think there's a unique shield I can give him, but I have to go get it from Bodan in the camp. Already looks like a full-on Grey Warden, doesn't he? Now, if you're wondering, where is he in here? Well... he's in there. Let's go quickly say hi, shall we? After all, he's going to be my father-in-law.
Let's not spend more time here than we must.
Okay, so he won't talk here, but he will talk to us in camp. Let me double check here with Morrigan.
If one more servant asks if your desire...
Okay. So now we've reached the point where this is before the big final battle. Once we've gone to Redcliffe, we triggered the big finale. As I said, though, there's a couple things that I want to do before we do that. We have some conversations to have with Logain in camp. There's quite a few people we actually have to talk to in camp. And also, there's a DLC we need to do. So there's Logain.
Yes.
Indeed.
Yes.
And if you're wondering, I believe, yes, there is quite a bit of banter here involving Logain.
Let's do this.
Let's see. There we go. There it is. Also, take a moment to watch how... I'm sure the effect should show up here any moment. It's supposed to show, like, this kind of, like, dark kind of coloring over this portion, because it's been moving up ever since the beginning of the game. That's one of the reasons why Lothering is gone. But it's supposed to have, like, gone up here. It moved up here, so, yeah. Alright.
The Earl has kindly offered my son and I lodgings in exchange for supplies. I'm happy to help him. And you too, of course. If you have need of my wares, you have but to ask.
I'm sorry, I didn't know he had extra dialogue there. I apologize.
I'm sure you'll be pleased.
I'm just so used to skipping that just to get to his store. So, of course, there's the gifts and the pranks for each character, and there are ones here, of course, for Loghain as well. King Maric's Shield. Grab a few of these to help with his approval.
I'm surprised. Thank you. Thanks. Thanks.
Actually, why don't we go ahead and just have our talks with Loghain now?
I passed your test. Fate has a twisted sense of humor, it seems. I suppose you think I'm some sort of monster. More so since I survived your ritual. You keep striking at me, and I just refuse to die decently.
I don't think you're a monster.
You're a poor liar, you know. It's kind of you to say so all the same. We must settle things between us somehow or other, or neither of us will get any work done. So, what will it be?
We're gonna have to work together.
Is that punishment meant for me or for you? And just like that, we're allies. I can't imagine it's so simple. I don't know what concession you want from me, Warden. I expect my word will not satisfy you.
I mean... I don't know. I would think the fact that I am going to be marrying your daughter would, perhaps give you an idea of the olive branch that I'm actually extending out to you right now. Just saying. You know? You are going to be my father-in-law, so, you know... I know that we haven't had the usual, you know, you meeting me like, oh, so you're the young man who's dating my little girl. You know, that whole interaction. But, you know, then again, you were trying to kill me, so... Very much as if I was dating your daughter, so... You're a Grey Warden now, too, you know.
Indeed, I'd almost forgotten that. Thank you for the reminder. I think it's time we got to the point here. What do you want from me? I can't imagine that you spared my life in the Landsmeet by accident. You have some plan in mind.
Well, you tell me. What do you want?
What I want? What an odd question. I want to ride back to Denerim and sit in the war room and find no empty chairs at the table. I want to lose, nothing else. I want a line clearly drawn that I can defend. I want an end to this war. All of this can rightly be called my fault. Whether or not you can do better remains to be seen. But if you can make this the end, Warden, I will follow you, I swear it.
Well, I'm glad to have you.
I suppose we'll see how long that lasts. We should speak no more of this at present. Time's wasting. I suppose I shouldn't be surprised at your success. You beat me. Perhaps you can do this after all.
Thank you, Loghain.
Do you want something? I suppose I have a moment.
Were you really going to kill Honora?
Honora always did have a flair for the dramatic. She could have been a bard.
Why would she invent such a story?
Honora is a politician at heart. There's one thing she knows. It's how to move people.
But why me, though?
Is that a serious question? Is there someone else you know of who could stand up to the Landsmeet? But enough about Honora. We ought to get moving.
But I wanted to ask you something first.
Go ahead.
What was Honora like as a child?
So far as anyone could tell, she was the undisputed monarch of the whole world. She'd fall, skin her knees, and command them to stop stinging. It may have worked, too.
So should I expect to be bossed around?
If you didn't already expect that, I've no idea what to say to you. If you're expecting some particular insight into my daughter's character, I'm afraid I'm probably not the best source. I'm hardly impartial.
Are you and Honora close?
I think you already know the answer to that. But this is not really the time or place to discuss my daughter. We have work to do. Go ahead.
What would you have done if you had won?
I suppose that depends on how much of the kingdom was left by then. Once the border was secure, the army would have regrouped to push back the Darkspawn in the south.
But the border was in no danger.
It's easy to say now. When chevaliers were massing on our doorstep, things were a little less clear. In any case, there's no use discussing this. We have much work left to do. Go ahead.
Do you think Honora will make a good queen?
Honora is a good queen. She has been for 5 years now.
I'm torn on what to ask here. So you're not concerned about leaving her all alone?
I am a bit, but she'll do well. I have to say that anyway, for if word gets back to her that I said otherwise, she'll be furious. In all seriousness, Honora is formidable. You should know that by now.
Will the bands follow her?
They always have before. Few among the nobles have ever been under any illusions as to who really held power in Denerim. Honora is strong enough to endure. She may make a few mistakes along the way, but she'll survive them. But this isn't the time to discuss such things. By all means.
Why do you hate Orlais so much?
Hate doesn't describe it. I've seen painted, masked lords beat an old farmer to death with riding crops. To this day, I don't know why. Is that hate? I saw good, sensible men fight armored chevaliers with nothing. No weapons, no armies, not even hope of success to see the occupation end. Is that hate?
All of that was in the past.
The past is always with us. It's in our bones and our blood, and we wear it on our skin. You can think otherwise, but you'll never get far without it.
But that doesn't justify what you did.
No, it doesn't. I failed. Lives were in my hands, and I failed. Nothing excuses that. In any case, there's no use discussing this. We have much work left to do. Go ahead.
How well did you know King Merrick?
He was my friend. If he'd wanted to conquer the Fade, I would have led the charge.
I think it's unfortunate that we can only ask one of these questions, and I want to ask all three of these. Like, seriously. Because all three of these are good questions. Why didn't he acknowledge Alistair? How did you meet Merrick? Which, I mean, there's a book about that. And what made Merrick such a great king?
I was hunting, well, poaching, to be entirely honest, when a boy my own age came stumbling out of the woods. He was so dirty, you'd have thought he'd been dug up out of the ground.
What was he running from?
The traitorous bootlickers who'd just murdered the Queen, though I didn't know it at the time. He was bloody, exhausted, and obviously being hunted. I offered to take him to my father's camp.
I thought you were a farmer.
That's a story for another time, I'm afraid. I've gone on too long as it is.
Okay, so we do get to ask these things. Why didn't he acknowledge Alistair?
He nearly did. Merrick was never one to avoid his duty. And given his preference, he would have acknowledged his son no matter the circumstance. But he had more than his honor to think of. It would have ruined Rowan, after all. She'd be reduced to a concubine in the eyes of our neighbors and put Caelan's status as heir in question. So Merrick made the hard choice. Eamon offered to raise the boy, and that was that.
Given that we find out the truth about who Alistair's real mother is, I think it's more so than that. Imagine if the people of Ferelden had found out that his mother was actually, one, an elf, because we have seen how elves are treated in this setting, and two, that she was a mage. Yeah. Remember, we meet her in Inquisition. But Caelan took a peasant's daughter as queen.
I was turned by then, and a general. You can buy respect through birth or by bloodshed, I've found. But we've been idle long enough. We should get moving.
What made Merrick such a great king?
There are men who inspire such devotion that everyone around would lay down their lives for him. And there are men who would come and go from this world, and no one notes it. What makes them so? Your guess is as good as mine. Merrick was remarkable. That's all I can say of him. Go ahead. Of course.
And that, unfortunately, is basically it.
Do you want something? I suppose I have a Of course.
I have the suspicion that at the time they probably want to add more stuff for Loghain as a companion, but they probably just ran out of time because they spent such a long time on this and such, and there were other issues, and that's all that was in. Now, I'm actually going to, in between videos, take a glance at the mod site to see whether or not there have been any more mods specifically for Loghain in case any cut content can be restored, because that's what I found with Morrigan, with that Morrigan patch. And I've always liked the idea of mods that help restore cut content that was supposed to be in the game but then was cut for whatever reason, you know? Because sometimes that extra cut content just adds more, you know? You guys probably know what I mean, right? So, when we return, we're not going to be starting the final battle. We will instead be doing the DLC where we return to Ostagar. And obviously, we're taking Loghain with us. Stay tuned.